people outside the UK, I understand they didn't know what was happening, but everyone in the UK feared for the worst, because basically it's the first time you've given people the opportunity to go, what do you think? And they just want to go, fuck off. And the more the good and the great and the intelligent and the educated and the successful and the people who believed in the future said, we should remain, the more all the people that felt left behind went, fuck off. And that's all it was. Same thing happening in America. Partly, but it's partly just the new world. Everybody's going, oh, this is the new world, this is great, and they don't feel that they haven't benefited from it at all. Basically the financial structure and really the political structure, because the two go hand in hand, of the world was revealed to us all in 2008, and there it is. Look, as my friend Toby from DDR says, it's like the end of the DDR. Everyone knows the system's corrupt and fucked, but no one knows how to fix it. So since 2008, everybody's gone, well, no, it's fine, a few bad apples, that sort of thing. And basically, lots and lots of people have been completely left behind. And everybody is working harder and harder and harder for the same money. Everyone's, trying to keep their head above water. And all they see is the 1% buying another yacht. Something's got to give. And it's going to give in a nasty way, but this was very predictable. Well, the record was written through last year, and we finished it in February, March or something this year, and I didn't listen to it. And then I put it on the day after Brexit. I went, yeah, that's the sound of the moment. But the title track was written about, for a while we've been singing about this kind of dark wave we felt was kind of coming. And now it's kind of breaking. I stole the line, the age of consequence, but I really like it. We're entering the age of consequence. And the song was like, let's look beyond it. I'm really scared about what's coming. I'm already looking sort of beyond. Perhaps. Just, the first day of winter when the snow comes down and everything stops and the sound goes kind of muffly and dead. It's a kind of longing for that. Well, nobody knows really, do they? It's like we are extraordinary monkeys. We're very, very, very clever, but we're terribly handicapped by a terrible flaw, which is basically vanity. This is the human capacity for vanity. I think other animals perhaps have it. I once saw a video of dolphins where they put a mirror underneath the water. The dolphins would come up and look at themselves in the mirror like that. So maybe other animals have it. Vanity, we can, because we are clever monkeys, and we can basically, our brilliance is to be able to alter our environment to suit ourselves. So we think we can go on doing that ad infinitum. But there's a basic flaw. The basic flaw in the argument stems from a long time ago. It's this idea that somehow we are in control of nature. No, we are a bit of nature. We're part of the same rules that rule the universe. We are not above them, So you can fuck everything around, and eventually it fucks you up. Burn the Castle was it's the 2-minute hate, really, isn't it? It was just a sense of people saying, is this a call to arms? No, it's what's happening all around you, and it's fucking scary, actually. But it's a sense of what people feel like. Like I say, if you believe that you're under protection of the great Lord, and then you find that you're not. Part of the Waters, Diatrine and Part of the Waters, obviously sort of about the refugee thing indirectly, or very directly in the case of Diatrine. I drive through Calais a lot, so I've seen the jungle rise up and come down, rise up and be crushed down, and etc., etc. I think Part of the Waters is a very simple idea. I do this quite a lot when I'm writing lyrics, which is to use old stories. There's Greek mythology in the Theseus story in the beginning, and we do this quite a lot, but the Bible's fantastic for this because you've got all these stories that everybody knows. So you just go, if you use Part of the Waters, everybody goes, oh, Moses, and then it just reminds everybody that the mass movement of people is not a new phenomenon. This has been going on from the beginning of time. So it's just that, really. Echo November, going back to the nature of God's the only thing that's real. Yeah, I grew up in a religious family, so religion's very much part of my sort of mindset, which starts with the principle that we're really not very much, and there's something much bigger than us going on. That's the beginning, and then comes along some man. It's always men, interestingly, or mostly men. I've been talking to God. God says this, therefore you have to do this. So then it fragments into all these different sort of cults, like Islam and Christianity, and they're cults really. But the idea of there is something bigger than us going on. city I live in, Bradford, is very heavily Pakistani, so it's about 1/3 Muslim. And everywhere you go, there's that expression, inshallah, which means God willing. And it's always used in the term of new restaurant opening 3rd of October, inshallah, which basically means with any luck. A kind of acceptance that not everything is in our control. I like that idea. Everything is not all in our control. But then going back to the Islamic thing, I will say this, that at the time, you know, sort of Islamic phobia all over Europe, people say to me, oh yeah, there's lots of Muslims in your city, isn't there? I say, oh yeah, about 1/3 Muslim. They say, what do the Muslims think? So what do you mean? Well, you know, what do they think about this? Well, say there's 100,000 Muslims in our city, there's 100,000 different opinions, just like anybody else. It's like, what do all the white people think? Well, everybody's different. Yeah, it's the danger of lumping everybody all together. I'm going back to the band now, but when I do interviews, everyone always asks me about the audience. And they always use, you know, the audience as single. And when I talk to other singers, they talk about, you know, the audience. I never really think of it like that. I always think they're sort of different individuals with different backstories and different favourite songs and different needs from the music and different ways of responding. You know, some people want to dance, some people want to build pyramids, some people want to sing along, some people just want to listen quietly in the corner and watch the show. And we've never ever done that thing which is, you know, everybody say yeah to unite the audience. And I think that's perhaps one of the reasons in the early 90s, we were kind of set to be quite a big band, and it never quite happened. And I think it's because we never really wanted to do that sort of big, unite the big audience thing. I think they're all individuals, really. Oh, come on. I'm very anti-vanity in the whole, you know, oh, punk rocker, all this kind of thing of the great god of rock and roll or whatever. I don't buy into this at all, but I'm on the front of the stage, you know, I've chosen to be a singer on the front of the stage. I must have some vanity somewhere. You know, I'm not immune from vanity. I wish I was, but I'm not. We did play with Bowie in front of the wall, well, in front of the Reichstag. Allegedly there was lots of other people on the other side of the wall listening. It was a moment. It was a little bit of a moment, I think, in Berlin history. And we were a very, very small bit part of this, you know, because no one knew who we were and no one was really interested, I don't think. The thing that I remember about it was that we were nobodies and we got to support David Bowie, and it was like, whoa, very excited. And 10 minutes before we came on, there was a knock on our porter cabin door, and in walked Bowie to say thank you for doing the support and wishing us good luck and everything like that, which I've always remembered. I thought that was extraordinarily generous of him. He didn't need to do that. You know, I thought that was very generous of him. And then we played a couple of shows together in '91 when he was doing Greatest Hits tour. It was a good bill. It was Bowie doing, you know, all his hits, and Midnight Oil at the peak of their thing, the Pixies and us. And we did 2 shows, one in North Germany, one in the South. And that was great. And then in the Zeros in 2000, middle of the 90s, that's right, 96 or something, we did a series of Go Bang festivals, which was Bowie doing his drum and bass period, Prodigy, Rage Against the Machine, Machine Head Us, various people. And I got to talk to him again a bit on that. I mean, he's always, you know, polite English gentleman. This is how he always came across in public. Obviously, I don't know him, so I can't say much about him, but I think he was. But what struck me about him whenever I've spoken to him is that he was extraordinarily knowledgeable and interested in what was going on. Yeah. And the thing that, you know, and when he died, everybody sort of did their, you know, oh, he was so great because of this and so great because of this. And interestingly, the media said he was so great because of the reinvention of himself again and again and again, because that's what the media are interested in. I'm a songwriter. The thing that I'm interested in is how many bloody good songs he wrote. You know, he just wrote a lot of very good songs. That's, you know, hats off. And he was a polite and generous man. I'm sure he wasn't a saint. Who is? No, but I've been coming here a lot for a long time. I mean, I first came here as a kid in 1970, coming through Checkpoint Charlie, coming from the east actually, coming up through from Czech. It is a special town, just because of the history, and the wall was a sort of. It's interesting about walls and history and borders and stuff. the wall was very fixed when I was a kid. And even when we used to when we were touring here in the 80s and went through the corridor all the time. And then suddenly it's not there. It's just strange how, the older you get, the more you see, history unfolding, and the more interesting everything gets, the more you start to understand everything. One gig I particularly remember in Berlin was in the 80s sometime. And Moose, who was our bass player at the time, came rushing backstage to me and said, "We've asked to do a benefit." And I went, "Oh yeah." And he said, "But it's weird because they've asked us to play for the RAF, the Royal Air Force. Why would they do a benefit for the Royal Air Force in Berlin?" And I was going, "It's not the Royal Air Force, it's the Red Army faction. This is Baader-Meinhof." I was going, "I don't think we're doing it." I do remember that. I can see why. It is a brilliant movie. It's got everything. It's got a wonderful story. The acting is incredible, and the direction is brilliant, and the way it unfolds, and it's got a lot of humour in it, and also it's got all the dark. I don't know, it's just a perfect movie in many ways. Everything about the movie is just brilliant. It's a wonderful story, and it's wonderfully realised in the movie. The story's got more interesting to me as I get older. Sometimes you play metal things or whatever, and everybody's going, "Yeah," so it's like rock and roll. I'm thinking, I'm not sure really. You be careful what you wish for. This idea, which is an old idea, probably before the Goethe, the Faust thing, of making a deal with the devil for what you want. When I was young, like all young people, I was sort of fascinated. If you come from a reasonably stable background, which I did, then the idea of the dark side of the devil and all this is fascinating. If you come from something which is a bit closer to the devil, you're really not fascinated in it. But as I've grown older, I've seen there's an essential truth in the story that I've got more and more interested in it. I see it around me, and I see it myself, and I see it. Yeah, it's a very central story. It's partly personal, which I don't really want to go into, but it is partly. I suppose the last line is the important one. Is that once you touch the poison, you poison everything you touch. I think that's very true, actually.
I thought we got interested in the Faust story. This story where you sell your soul to the devil. It's sort of German. I think it's probably older than German. But it's an interesting story. And when I was young, like everybody else, fascinated by the idea of the devil. Whoa. And then as you get older, you realise it's a fucking real thing. And not all that attractive.